House in Phoenix, Arizona, Miss Arlene Francis.
And now a gentleman who has just completed a television film on the adventures of that famous Belgian detective, Monsieur Hercule Poirot, Monsieur Martin Gebel.
On my left, in addition to all her other talents, one of the great game players of television, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And on my left, another great detective, a finder of bestsellers, Random House's Bennett Cerf.
And here's our panel moderator, a man always in quest of higher knowledge. For instance, to give you an example, he spent 3 hours Friday at that Institute of Higher Learning, Toots Shores, trying to find the difference between a virgule and an ampersand. And here I hope to give you the result of his researches is Professor John Charles Daly.
What really happened is that one of our viewers was nice enough to write me a note and say he thought I could give Bennett some trouble if I asked him what a virgule was. So I called Bennett and asked him, and Bennett said, well, it's not an ampersand. You go look that up, and I'll look up a virgule. An ampersand, by the way, I knew the answers all the time, needless to say. An ampersand is the sign that they make as a diminutive for the connective and, looks like a pound sign, and a virgule, which Bennett knew the answer to about 6 hours after I asked him, is the diagonal that they put between and or if you're writing a sentence and want to say John Smith is and or, you know. You write a sentence like that, they run you out of the English class, but you'll have lots of fun.
What would you do if there was no Toots Shores, John?
Starved to death, probably. Well, it's very nice to see Monsieur Gabel with us tonight.
Thank you, John.
Again, and very nice to see all the panel looking fresh, because we've got some very interesting, I think some of them difficult occupations to identify, and some nice people who brought them to the theater. We will also have a famous mystery guest before the panel a little bit later. And now let's meet our first contestant. Will you enter and sign in, please? Paul Paterni. Is that right, sir? Mr. Paterni, where are you from?
Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. Well, it's nice to have you here, sir.
Thank you.
A little weather down in Washington this week.
It's very nice.
You like that weather down there?
Yes.
This weekend's weather?
Yes.
You did? Well, everybody too. Mr. Paterni, may I present our panel, please? Now, would you join me over here? Do you know how we keep score, Mr. Paterni?
Yes, I do.
In that event, let's let the audience at home and the audience in the theater know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, we can tell you that Mr. Paterni is salaried and deals in a service, and I think we ought to begin the general questioning with Mr. Gable.
Thank you, John. Mr. Paterni, do you do your work in Washington?
Yes, sir.
Do you work for an organ of the government?
I do.
Is it an organ that has to do with any kind of finding out about the rest of us?
Yes.
With my clear-eyed, keen-eyed... You've got keen eyes, Mr. Paterni. That accounts for my accuracy so far. Would it be an investigative branch of the government?
Yes.
Would it be something to do with the FBI?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Mr.
Had a choice
Kilgallen.
of 2 again, John.
Do you have anything to do with the Treasury Department?
Yes.
Do you deal with narcotics?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Paterni, do you deal with an equally unpleasant subject, taxes?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
Does that mean we can rule out the Treasury Department, Mr. Paterni?
No.
That makes it 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Gable.
Are you a member of the Secret Service?
Yes.
That's a great name, by the way. I missed that. One doesn't hear about that so much anymore. Does your investigation have anything to do with this medium that we're functioning on now?
No.
5 down and 5 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you have anything to do with the White House?
Yes.
Are you ever in proximity to Caroline Kennedy?
Sometimes.
Other members of the royal family?
Sometimes.
Well, are you attached to the president?
No.
Not directly. Now, I will say this, Dorothy, we have to give you a no, and what we meant to convey there, that in the realm of responsibility, which is exercised by Mr. Paterni, he might on occasion be in proximity to the presidential family and to the White House, but not necessarily all the time. Mr. Sir.
Mr. Paterni, are your duties more or less concentrated in the White House itself?
No.
That's 7 down and 3 to go, Miss Francis.
Would you call yourself at all a traveling man, Mr. Paterni?
Sometimes.
Would you be a Secret Service man who might be guarding different members of the president's family on trips?
Sometimes.
But I think here again,
We
I
have to
will
be more
stress
particular than that, huh?
that
Maybe he's the head of the whole thing.
That South African, John?
Is he the president of the Secret Service?
No, what I meant to stress here is that in the general area of responsibilities to be exercised, Mr. Paterni might be in proximity to the presidential family and to the White House on occasion, but this is not the basic area of his responsibility.
Would he have anything to do with food or drink at the White House?
Food or drink at the White House?
I thought maybe he was a poison taster.
No. 8 down and 2 to go, Mr. Gable.
Is Mr. Paterni the head of the Secret Service?
No.
No. 9 down and 1 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Mr. Paterni, are you ever attached to VIPs?
No.
Except, you see, we've already listed them.
Yes, I mean,
Except
aside from...
Now, this is funny, because you've left out, I think, the one area which will come to your minds with some shock.
Would it be,
What is the Secret Service, the Treasury Department? One
He
area...
counts the money in the White
Does he
House.
take
Sees
out
that they
the
get a
mint?
certain
No,
amount to spend on rubber bands.
Secret Service is guarding the president.
Gee, I guess you people haven't been doing what I've done. I've got this lovely little printing press, and I make my own money, you see, and that's why Mr. Paterni is here.
Counterfeiting?
Counterfeiting is his area.
Surely he doesn't suspect Caroline Kennedy.
No.
You can understand why such a subject would be foreign to any of our natures, John.
Oh, I can.
Mr. Paterni, there's supposed to be a whole rash of 20s floating around right now, aren't there?
I heard tens.
Yes, 10s and 20s.
10s and 20s?
Then it actually, let me get one thing clear. Mr. Paterni is the deputy chief of the Secret Service, second in command to Jim Rowley, who was recently appointed to head the Secret Service. And as deputy chief, his basic area of responsibility is counterfeiting. And last week, I just happened to remember reading it in the paper, Mr. Paterni announced that they had caught a big counterfeiting ring in California.
On the West Coast.
$20 bills, $500,000 worth of $20 bills, all of them phony. But does this have any impact on the, I know that you put a warning out, I believe, a couple of weeks ago about 20s and 10s in the East Coast area.
No, actually, that was a West Coast operation. They came as far east as Michigan. But we have an area... Incidentally, I am a Michigander.
You're a Wow. We got it made. Yes, Dorothy.
Mr. Paterni, I wonder if you ever heard of the conceited counterfeiter who made the perfect $20 bill, only at the last minute he spoiled everything. He couldn't resist putting his own picture on it.
I wish they would all do that.
Boy, I wish I had a Virgul now. I know where that diagonal... Well, there you are. I must say, Mr. Paterni, thank you. You've been in the service, I know, for a long time, because I knew you in the old days when I was in Washington. How many years have you been?
29 years.
29 years. The government is lucky to have